Hello, my crafty friend, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's treasure journal flip through video. I am just beyond happy with how this beauty turned out. You may have seen, if you're one of my regular viewers, that I did a video a few weeks ago of the last peacock journal I'll ever be able to make with my fussy cut sari trim peacocks because I used the last of them, but I couldn't resist figuring out a new cover so I could return to, I would call it my all-time favorite aesthetic journal theme, which is a peacock theme. And it's not just because peacocks themselves are a beautiful, majestic bird, symbolic of royalty and beauty and all that goodness. It's also because, like, the peacock colors are just my absolute favorite colors. The emerald greens, the deep, beautiful turquoise, the shades of purple. I just adore everything peacock themed. So the sari fabric and Asian aesthetics, like it's all here. So yeah, the cover for this one is made using some really stunning Arabian fabric that was gifted to me by my lovely crafty bestie May, all the way from Saudi Arabia. And it has kind of a peacock feather style to it, doesn't it? I've had this since she sent it to me in December for my birthday, and I'm finally putting it to good use in this journal. So yeah, starting with the cover piece, which is this beautiful peacock brooch. This is where the journal actually gets its name. Obviously, it's like an emerald colored peacock. So beautiful. I kept the brooch removable. That way, if you choose to buy this journal and you'd love to actually wear it, you can do that. And with this journal, I'm also returning to what I always used to do, which is include a ring as a gift with purchase. So whoever gets this journal will also be getting, I'm trying to get my camera to focus on it. Is that working? There we go. It has to be way, there it is. I found this at a local antique shop, but it is not antique. I'm pretty sure it's brand new, but I love that it has kind of a Middle Ages, just really stunning style to it. It looks very old, even though it's new costume jewelry. So yeah, the cover is this beautiful Arabian fabric. And I've decorated it by taking this pretty purple and green floral applique and gluing it down just like wrapped around onto the back. So I glued just the back and then a part that wraps around the front cover. And that way it's a tuck spot that I've tucked a really fun kind of envelope stack into. But just so you can see, like, if you prefer to take the stuff out of it and just have it like this, and the colors are just absolutely stunningly beautiful, just how it is. But yeah, I adore. I've had this in my collection for a couple of years now, and I'm trying to train myself to not hoard my favorite things, but to actually use them. I read somewhere a quote that I should write it down in my journal because it is something that I think all of us crafters and artists can probably relate to and benefit from. And it said, "The only waste of craft supplies is not using them." Like, the only wasted supply is the supply that goes unused. So yeah, instead of just having a drawer full of my favorite fabric-y bits, you're now going to start seeing them used on journals like this one. So anyway, speaking of fabric-y bits, if you're one of my regular viewers, you probably already know what this is. But if you're new, welcome. And this little folder here, folded up trifold of goodness, is pretty much my favorite thing to include in every journal. And that is a textile sampler. So yeah, I pin these in using straight pins. So be very careful if you decide to get this and go looking through it, because these are very sharp. But yeah, I pin them in instead of gluing them down, and that way if the future journal owner is a crafty lady like I am, which I'm sure she would be, because who's gonna buy a junk journal if they're not crafty? If she chooses to, she can actually take these off by removing the pins and use them either in this journal or in some other project. So yeah, I had some fun layering. This piece is separate, the green is separate. This really beautiful old, very old, probably 1970s vintage fabric I found at one of my favorite thrift stores ever, the one in Pincher Creek, Alberta. Has some really cool crafty stuff, and I bought a whole stack of them, all cut into perfect little squares like this. So I figure someone out there near the Rocky Mountains probably had a project in mind, and either she cut too many squares or she decided after cutting them that it would be too much work. But whatever the case, you can expect to see more of these in upcoming videos. This beautiful piece, I actually gave more than what would fit in the journal card here, so you can unpin it and see. But this is another one of my favorite, whoops, I should be in camera here. Another one of my favorite Saudi Arabian fabrics from May, because to me it looks like architectural designs. Like these look like buildings, palaces, mosques or something, with trees in the background, or maybe street lights, like Parisian style street lights. It's just so pretty. And as a little nod to Valentine's Day, just in case this is the last journal I make before Valentine's, I added one really fun little detail here, and that is I don't know what to call this, maybe like a medallion of kissing cupids that I made out of polymer clay and then gilded with mica powder. And it broke, so you can see that the clay I used was purple and not gold. But to preserve it, I glued it down onto some red corduroy. It's like a corduroy-ish velvet. But that would look very cute, adorning something romance themed, something love themed. But yeah, anyway, these are all just loose, usable, beautiful textile bits. And they're pinned down onto a piece of ledger from 1958. You can see all the lovely writing and numbers still under the fabric. And then the back of it, I covered with this beautiful kind of like turquoisey green colored pattern paper. I love this part here. It's demonstrating like how to measure your fabric and then mark it with chalk before cutting it. And I thought that was just such a fun little picture, especially to go onto a folder of cut fabric pieces. Like, it's kind of on the nose as far as describing what we're doing with these things. And then here, these are very special textile pieces. This long strip is indigo dyed cotton from Japan. And pardon me as I pick the cat hair off while filming. I always plan to do this step before I get in front of the camera, but I'm rushing this video today. I have to film on Friday because tomorrow we're going out on a little road trip to meet my boyfriend's new little nephew who was just born. And so usually I film on Saturdays, but today I have to film early. And if I sound like I'm rushed and like I'm out of breath, it's because I am. I've been working kind of frantically to get ready for this video on time. But anyway, yeah, the chrysanthemums, the beautiful flowers, the lucky bamboo in the background. It's just such a cool artist-dyed piece of textile. And then what it's sitting on here is a big piece of, I hope the camera's picking up all the texture. It's a beautiful, like diamond patterned two-tone gold piece of silk that was lining an obi, and I adore it. Beautiful. So yeah, those are just pinned down so they can be taken out and used, just like all the other pieces in here. And then of course, because it's a peacock themed journal, I had to add a peacock to the front. And the lovely printable lady from my Peacock. This is in both my Peacock kit and my Peacock Fashions kit. I had to include her because so many of these fabrics are sari fabric. This green, that green, this pink. So here she is wearing her gorgeous peacock themed sari in front of some traditional Vedic looking architecture. And yeah, that just tucks in here. I guess I can slow down and catch my breath, right? I don't need to rush through this entire video. It's funny, I sometimes do feel like my videos are a bit of a race to the finish because I love to give my money's worth. Like if I'm going to make a video or a journal, it is going to be, there we go. It is going to be stuffed with goodness. So there is a lot to look at, but I do have to remind myself not to race too much. So on that note, I'm gonna have a sip of water. Before I open the next little envelope here. So yeah, this is probably my new favorite printable thing. Last week I did a video of a Japanese junk journal made entirely of really cool old Japanese ephemera. And among that Japanese ephemera, there were some really gorgeous, tall, skinny envelopes. And they're just made so beautifully, like each one, they're from about the 1910s. So the early, what would be called the Meiji era in Japan. They're like double layered with like a brighter colored tissue paper lining and then kind of a faded tissue paper on the outside. And I don't know if the outer paper was once the same color as the inner paper, but it faded with time, or if they deliberately used like a lighter color for the outside paper. But anyway, I love them so much that I've turned them into a new printable kit. And I think next week the video I do is going to be like a how-to make them using the printable kit. But I can show you really quickly what it looks like. So yeah, this is the envelope. I printed these on rice paper, traditional Japanese rice paper. And that way they feel super real. So yeah, I kind of created it so I scanned the front and the back, laid them out in the design, and then took a screenshot of the inside of the color to make these little tabs. So it kind of like folds like this, the tab folds up, the side tab folds in, and then the top is glued to the bottom. And then I also created a sheet that's just the color of the lining paper. So yeah, that gets printed double-sided. Anyway, I'll show you next week how I made it. But anyway, inside this one, I put this beautiful piece of geisha origami paper. I love the colors they're wearing. They're almost peacock colors. It's so, so beautiful. And folded up inside that, this is also in that printable kit, but this is the ephemera that was originally inside this envelope. So this is printed, but I tried to make them look as authentic to the originals as possible. And of course, I'm forgetting now how I folded that. If you make videos, let me know. Do you also do things really super easily when you're just by yourself, crafting for fun on your own, and then you go to do the exact same thing on camera while you're filming, and it turns into just a comical struggle because it can't be just me. Yeah, I adore like this beautiful layered look that all these bits of ephemera in the front are giving. It's crazy that we haven't even gotten inside yet. And so anyway, another tall skinny envelope, but this one is made from a different printable kit. This is in my French postal themed printable kit. It's got like a couple of little beautiful blue French cartonnage book covers and some old envelopes and letters and things. Not the document kit, but the postal kit. And then I took a genuine antique, beautiful blue French stamp and just glued that over where the stamp would go. So this is printed on tracing paper, and that way it's sheer enough that you can see through to the Peacock card that I put inside. And then this beautiful page here is authentic. It's from the 1800s, and it's from France on cotton rag paper, and the handwriting, like the calligraphy, is just absolutely stunningly beautiful. I could pause to read this whole page and that'll give me a chance to catch my breath, right? I just noticed now it says chapitre 15, which means chapter 15. So yeah, just a stunning, whoever wrote this had stunningly beautiful penmanship. So yeah, I just fold that up in here, and I think I did a video once demonstrating how to fold up these traditional French envelopes so you can get them to self-close. Is that the word I'm looking for? It's so neat. One thing that I thought was kind of cool, looking at my antique Japanese envelopes, is that it seems that in that era, stationery stores didn't yet sell envelopes, because it feels like everyone who wrote letters made their own envelope. Like all of these tall, skinny Japanese ones feel like they were made by the letter writers. And then of course the French antique envelopes are just the same paper they write the letter on. They turn it over, fold it up, seal it with some wax, and then use it as the envelope. But anyhow, let's get inside. The closure is beautiful recycled sari silk in this kind of periwinkle blue color. I just attached it using looped through some grommets, and here we go. Finally, we're getting inside. Let me see if I can, oops, that's zooming in. Zoom out a little bit so you can see more of this book. Since it's a tall, skinny book, it's hard to try to fit the whole thing on camera, but I'll try to remember to hold it up and show you as I go if I feel like there's something being cropped out. The lining is another stunning piece of fabric from May from Saudi Arabia. The green sari piece I found locally in a vintage clothing section of a thrift shop. And then of course, this is the other part of that beautiful purple applique folded down to the inside. And it's funny, once I glued it all down, I felt kind of regretful that I hadn't made this the outside of the journal and then used that as the lining, because I just adore the way this looks. But I guess it's a good thing, right? If the inside looks as beautiful as the outside. So yeah, in that pocket, I've included a piece of vintage ledger from Austria from 1947. Again, just beautiful penmanship. I love looking at old handwriting. It's kind of surreal to me. I know it's been going on for years now. I don't know for how many years, but it's kind of surreal that kids in school don't have to learn cursive writing anymore, because I remember that being absolutely mandatory. Like, we had to write our essays in cursive, and assignments wouldn't be accepted by the teacher if we printed them. They had to be done in cursive. And by printed, I don't mean printed off a computer. I mean printed, like written by hand, but not in handwriting. Anyway, this is a really lovely vintage bridge scorecard from Belfast Linen Shop in Victoria, BC. Super, super pretty. A little cluster on the first mini page here where I've stuck a couple fabrics on using a brad, and then tucked this pretty peacock card from my Peacock printable kit so that it kind of just sits tucked into the brad like that. I tried to include quite a bit of writing space in this one, so all that green can be written on. The back of this is just a coffee dyed pattern, so that can still be written on. This beautiful label on the back is a pocket into which I've tucked some lovely Japanese aesthetic tall plain cards. These were also in a happy mail from May. May, I adore these. They are so beautiful. I love the waves and the cranes, and whether that's the setting sun or the rising moon in the background, whatever it is, it looks just so pretty. This beautiful page, also from my Peacock printable kit. What I did to get this is I just set it to print 4 on the page, and it just filled out the page beautifully. I fussy cut this little green flower to turn it into a tab. This is some beautiful coffee dyed paper made by May. A little French fairy tale castle stamp. That's another piece out of that French postal printable kit. This is a lovely 1950 receipt from Austria from Angelica. And I stuck a print of this really pretty peacock stamp also in that French printable kit. And then this is actually a crunchy, beautiful old bag that was included in a happy mail from May. She'd actually given me some gifts in it, and I decided to repurpose it by just folding it lengthwise and using it in this journal. And then I fussy cut this gorgeous fashion girl from my Peacock printable kit and stuck her down to decorate the bag. And then of course I had to put something inside. So to go in there, I made just another little flip out thing using a really old piece of paper. So this paper was actually once wrapped around like as a cover protector on an old encyclopedia book, and it really is genuinely like yellowed and crumbling. That's not coffee dyed or inked. It really just is that old. So to decorate it and also kind of to strengthen it and hold it together, I fussy cut this pretty flower basket. This is in my Victorian Treasures printable kit. Wrapped it around the edge and then kind of left it open as a pocket where I stuck this gorgeous Japanese inspired lady. Really, really love that. What are these called? Pagoda. That kind of Buddhist temple pagoda in the background. Backed with just one of my coffee dyed stencil prints. And then to reinforce this, like, see how the edges are so crumbly? It was like hanging on truly by a thread there. So I took more of that beautiful green pattern paper and I glued the strip down and then added another little bit and a little fussy cut bit from an embroidered sari trim. And then this frame is also in my Peacock printable kit, as is this lovely lady with her peacock headdress. Very tropical looking. So yeah, that's just a journal card. It slips beautifully back into, our frame pocket tuck spot. And then on the back, this is from my French ledger printable kit. I love making these. They're so much fun. I made this one on a piece of coffee dyed paper, and that's how it looks so old. But yeah, it's just strips from a genuine French document. Well, strips copied from a genuine French document from the 1600s that had like a bookworm eaten hole going kind of through the entire document. And at first I was going to use that document just for like collage scrap, thinking I would like bypass the hole, cut it out, hide it. But then I realized that's kind of a fun little window, like a little layered book window. And then I had the idea to digitally design a little cute bookworm. So see how he's got a little book balancing on his back? Yeah, they're not really that cute in real life, I don't think, but in our book lovers fantasy land, I think that's what bookworms can look like. So yeah, this just sits in this tall paper bag pocket. Oops. I don't know where this peacock jumped out from. Was that in here? I don't think it was. No fear, we will find a place for it. This beautiful turquoise coffee dyed paper, I paper clipped on a fan, and it has this lovely reclining couple among the flowering trees. Another little mini nod to Valentine's Day coming up. Decorating the edge of that paper clip. This is actually a pendant that I made myself, so you can take it off the paper clip and wear it if you choose to. It's a beautiful amethyst. So we have like a very dark purple amethyst here, a stunning pale, almost like a lilac-y amethyst there, and then a medium toned amethyst here. So like the 3 different shades of purple that amethyst comes in. So pretty. One of my favorite gems. Yeah, and then on the other side of that I pinned in another gorgeous sari wearing lady with kind of a Hindu temple in the background. Another lovely tall page from my Peacock printable kit, as is that one. On this page, I glued down just on the edge some really cool like train tickets from Sri Lanka, and I just love them because they're purple. I used those as a tuck spot to hold some really old antique hymn book page from the 1800s, and I love that like Gothic Germanic font on the top. It's so pretty. So pretty. I love just old papers and all the shades of neutral that they come in. Récit des temps mérovingiens. So that's an antique French book from the 1800s about the Merovingian Empire. Just another cool historical book. And then remember her? She was sitting in a frame in that front piece, but here I've printed the entire image, and I just adore kind of these like colorful doodle-ish elements in the bottom. So pretty. Her tropical beach house in the background. So yeah, she just peeks out from there. This page is in my beautiful kimono design book. This is some antique piano roll paper. A player piano would read the holes in this to churn out its music. And little tab of fabricy scraps held down with another paper clip. This one I just added a pretty peacock colored bead to it. As another nod to Valentine's Day, this is printed from the Paper Cameo, one of the Paper Cameo's printable kits. I don't usually use printables from other designers since I started designing my own, but I couldn't resist since we are in February right now. And there's a beautiful heart that she's layered on the ledger here. So yeah, that just sits in this folded up pocket along with this, which is genuine ephemera from the Victorian era. I salvaged this piece out of a crumbling old Victorian scrapbook from the 1870s. So this is not printed, this is genuine. Well, I guess it was printed way back then using the lithograph technology that they used. So really beautiful. And it was actually a business card advertising a shoe store, of all things. So yeah, this page I coffee dyed some mulberry paper so you can actually see little bits of plant matter still in that paper pulp. But I coffee dyed it with a stencil and then added an upper tuck with this really pretty handmade khadi paper from India. Again, just gorgeous peacock colors, shades of periwinkle and green and blue. And then into that, I added a really pretty paisley printed peacock green. Feels like it's also khadi paper, some kind of cotton rag that was definitely hand stenciled. And I think I got this in a happy mail from Michelle. Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm working on a little something to send her too. And I believe this one was from Cat Stone. I kept a big chunk of that for myself too because it's my favorite. I love those colors. On this side, I did just a little bit of textiles to decorate the edge. This is embroidery floss comes in this, but I actually just rolled up a little bit of green fabric and slid it in so that can actually be taken out and used. I love the color. Couple of old stamps. This is a wine label that's so pretty with that monarch butterfly. And then did a little collage here. Really pretty French document stamp. Some coffee dyed turquoise paper, and I did a little glued down ruffle using this pretty emerald green fabric, and then more of those, they're not sequins, I don't know what you'd call these, but like iridescent golden fabric circle things. And I love this. I absolutely love that piece. And this is genuine Edo era woodblock printed Japanese book paper. It was from a book about a pilgrimage to all the temples of Kuan Yin in Japan, so kind of a sacred historic piece. And then this is from my Japanese printable kit. Another of my kimono design printables. I love this one. I actually did a Google image search and it turns out probably not to be a peacock, but some kind of a pheasant, but still stunningly beautiful and perfect for the colors of this book. So yeah, we have a lovely old Japanese print of a lady. This is also origami paper. And then onto the back of that, using washi tape, I stuck down a print of another Japanese-inspired fashion lady from my Peacock printable kit. And again, it's in the Peacock printable kit, so the big, huge one, and it's also in... Oh, hi, Buddha. Sorry, Buddha. My neighbor kitty just came in. Hello, sweetheart. Good to see you. Felt somebody rubbing my legs and it wasn't one of the usual kitties. So yeah, if you hear him yelling and screaming and running soon, if he fights with my adopted kitty Tiger, I'll have to go intervene, but hopefully that won't happen. Hi, sweetie. Some periwinkle blue coffee dyed paper. And into the Peacock label on the bottom, I've added a strip of embossed paint chips in shades of purple. That could make a really cool bookmark or something. Another of our fashion ladies, just pinned in place using a bull clip. She's sitting on some antique French book pages. And another of our fashion ladies, printed on cardstock, backed in some coffee dyed paper. And I think most of these are self-explanatory. I tried to leave enough room that you can do some writing. There's another embossed Chatty paper sitting in this tall pocket page. Another of the kimono designs. Maybe I'll tuck this little peacock here. That looks like a good background for him. The center are these fussy cut medallions from a stack of really, really pretty origami paper. And this beautiful peacock. I think I had planned to glue him down, but maybe I'll find another pocket for him too. He can go here. Some really pretty peacock color-ish stamps from my antique stamp set. Another page of this really lovely kimono design, backed with some kanji prints from my Japanese paper kit. More beautiful peacock printable pages. That lovely ink painting of an old master was on one of these old calligraphy pages. I love it as a backing printable. So the other sides of these antique French book pages, I added my fussy cut peacock dresses from the printable kit and put some purple writing paper, note paper tucked into them. I think that looks super cute. Fabric tabs. Another of our fashion lady printables, washi taped in so that can be taken out and used. I'm just going to pause the video and be back because I see Tiger kind of stalking Buddha, so hold that. Sorry about that. Luckily, nothing bad happened, but Tiger, our adopted cat, gets very territorial, and when the neighbor kitty, who used to be able to come in without problem, gets let in now, unfortunately it can lead to fighting, which is very sad. But yeah, luckily Buddha's back out. So as I was saying, here's another one of the Peacock fashion ladies. I dragged and dropped this really lovely peacock brooch onto the image before printing it. A whole set of jewelry is also in that huge peacock printable kit. This is also a piece from that kit. I love that full moon as a frame for the peacock. So yeah, another really gorgeous Japanese inspired piece. She looks a little bit more anime than the other fashion ladies, but still beautiful, with the gorgeous layers of pagodas in the background and the lovely obi belt. I just adore looking at those. So yeah, I think you can see why peacock journals are my go-to when I'm between exploring other new themes. There's just something so aesthetically exciting to me about all the different jewel tones. This is a piece from my perfume bottle printable kit, and then that's from my 1928 Sears wallpaper printable kit. Beautiful stamp. I adore that little village scene in kind of a peacock shade of green. This piece here, washi taped on so it can be easily taken off and used for writing. Oops. Just on the other side of this, really pretty coffee dyed mulberry paper. There's some antique French playbook pages tucked under this pretty peacock label. And then this is one of my favorite things in the whole book. You've seen me do a lot of these lately if you're one of my regular viewers. But these are like, I found them in the wedding favors section of a thrifty craft area. And they're for making like placeholders where you'd put a little picture of the person, either a picture of the married couple or a picture of the guest who is to be sat there. But yeah, they're like little party favor labels. But I coffee dyed them and they look like just the cutest little gift bags. And then in others, I've added like little miniature books and things. But for this particular journal, I felt like keeping it a little bit more simple. So I added just these French document stamp labels in each one. They're so cute. And then some peacock colored genuine postage stamps just kind of layered through to decorate. So yeah, I've used those in previous journals, but I think from now on I'll do it this way and kind of layer them the way I've layered them in this one. And then little pops of color from the stamps. And I was kind of tempted to put this piece upside down because it looks really cool, keeping everything neutral so it's a little bit framed that way. But who are we kidding? Color and fashion. This again is from the Peacock Fashions and Peacock Printable kits. Yeah, I'll just keep it as it is. So yeah, we are nearing the end of this book, my friend. It's been a lot to look at, but hopefully enjoyable for you. Not a peacock, but a peacock colored beautiful bird on a stamp. I made a tuck spot using that pretty lacy stuff. This is a really cool foil paper. I think this is the kind of stuff they use to wrap bouquets of flowers, but I'm not sure. I bought a whole roll of it, and sometimes I sew it into the signature as a book page, but this time I left it loose just to fill up that pocket. Another gorgeous sari lady with some really pretty coffee dyed paper with stenciled roses tucked in. That was also made by May in Saudi Arabia. Beautiful purple peacock tag on the back. I'm not going to pull this all the way out, but inside here I've stuffed kind of a large cutting of that really pretty greenish blue pattern paper. So that can be used in collaging and crafting. Got the other side of that receipt from 1950. I love the peacock colored stamp, the peacocky purple and peacock green printer ink, or maybe typewriter ink considering the date. Another gorgeous fashion girl with her peacock headdress. It's the other side of, this is probably my favorite of all time, of all of May's coffee dyed papers. There's something just so stunningly beautiful about this design. Love it, love it, love it. So pretty. I just have to point out how gorgeous all the tabs are. Like I put a little bubble dome with a cool mandala in it. This was also in a Cat Stone Happy Mail once. But yeah, I tried to make the edges of the paper as ornamentally pretty as possible in this one, with lots of fun fabrics and tabs and things, and I think it just looks so exciting instead of just plain paper edges when you look at the side of a journal and see so many colors and textures and sparkles and things. So yeah, tucked into this little pocket, I took one of my Peacock Printable journal card ephemera pieces and actually made it into a little scrapbook. So yeah, these are from my French postal printable kit. They got water damaged. I accidentally spilled a couple drops of water after printing them, but I love the way the water damage looked on the back. This one looks, if you're into crystals and gems like I am, this looks almost exactly like the cross section of a watermelon tourmaline crystal. Super cool. I should have, I don't know if I have, oh yeah, and these, oops, little stampies fell out, but where I tucked that paper up, I figured that could be a perfect little pocket to hold actual little stamps. But yeah, I don't think, I made my mom jewelry using my best watermelon tourmaline, so I don't think I have them anymore. Otherwise, it would have been fun to bring one to show you, but you can Google it. We live in an era with Google image search being pretty much instant. So yeah, on the very last page, inside of the back cover, I stuck this really stunning peacock patch, some tickets. They make fun collage editions or tuck spots, or you could use that as a bookmark or something. This I included just for fun. It's an antique French magazine page. Super pretty, very crumbly, but with some gorgeous lace detail close-ups that could be used in collage work. And yeah, I just love her pose and the layers of lace on her dress. She is so stunningly beautiful. So not really peacock related, but I think it's always fun to include some genuine antique paper in each book. So there's another piece for this one. And last but not least, one final peacock themed journal card. This is another image in the printable kit. It's almost like a chinoiserie antique peacock illustration. So pretty. And I backed it with some printable from my French document printable kit. Again, stunning, stunning handwriting. So yeah, there we have it. The Emerald Peacock. I'm either going to call this book The Emerald Peacock or The Peacock's Treasures. I haven't decided yet because either title I think would be an accurate description of what's in here. And I will tie this beautiful emerald colored costume jewelry ring to the side. And that completes our flip through. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. And if you feel that the book is meant to be yours, I will have it listed in my Etsy shop at the same time that I publish this video. So yeah, you can go find it there if you like. All the printable kits I used here are also in my shop at that link. But in the meantime, thank you so much for sticking with me and watching this video all the way to the end. I absolutely appreciate that. It definitely helps me get noticed in the YouTube algorithm. And I also appreciate a like, a comment, subscribe if you're not subscribed, because for a small creator like me, it makes all the difference as far as getting picked up by YouTube is concerned. And yeah, maybe let me know what you're working on, or what's your favorite journal theme. What's your favorite kind of go-to thing when you're ready to start a new project? I would love to hear it. Or let me know what's your favorite thing inside this peacock book. That would also be kind of interesting. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. So much love to you, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.